Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Ghost with Spectre 6 Gaming. Today, I have something that I honestly never thought to do until today from watching videos of people doing the same. So, with there being a lot of talk about the Bushmaster ACR, especially now with Bushmaster themselves teasing the possible return of the platform, I decided, after watching other people do it, that I'm going to give you guys a rundown slash overview of my loadout with my Remington ACR. That's right, I said Remington, not Bushmaster. This is a complete Remington Defense ACR. And I'm going to go over it with you guys. I hope you enjoyed, so stick around. Moving right along, you can see I have a piece of white paper here. That's to cover up the serial number. So right here I have the Surefire Scout Mini. This is actually my personal favorite when it comes to Surefire lights, mainly just because, like the smaller ones, I just personally feel like they have less of a chance to get snagged, especially with this mount where you can push it right into your receiver, so it's basically kissing it. And if you're like me and you tend to run full tack gear whenever you're at the range doing drills and whatnot, you get annoyed when something gets snagged, especially when it's your sling. And that's always the one thing that gets snug up the most. And God, I hate it. So I like being able to keep it as close to the receiver as possible. It doesn't seem to happen as much, especially when you're doing shoulder transitions and stuff like that. So, and then that's what the pressure pad is leading to that you saw on the other side here. It's to this light. Okay, so next is the Remington Defense magnesium lower. This is a magnesium one. This is another Remington Defense lower, but this one's made of aluminum. We'll talk about this one here in a second. So yeah, as you can see, this is an original Remington Defense lower. It has the ability to change out the pistol grip. I have the Magpul MIAD 2.0. I think it's the 2.0, but it's like the one where you can like swap out the back plate, the front plate, so you can have, you know, like an A2 style little cut right there to kind of give you a little bit more better grip, kind of similar to like the A2 standard AR-15 grips. But I personally just stick with the Magpul, mainly just because I liked the feel of the polymer Bushmaster handguards, and this just works. And so we have a mil-spec trigger assembly in here, and one thing that differentiates the aluminum or just the metal lowers from the polymer ones, the polymer lowers had drop-in trigger boxes. You just drop it in, you're good to go. These, however, are just like a standard AR-15. They have the two pins that hold in the group, and you push those out. You take everything out if you wanted to clean it or swap it or whatever. Personally, I hate this. I really do prefer drop-in triggers. It's just easier. But I mean, there's only so much you can do. However, if you did want to have like a Remington Defense style lower with a drop-in trigger, there actually is an option for you. I implore you to go check out Templar Precision. He makes his own ACR lowers. He's probably the leading aftermarket supporter for the aftermarket supporter for the ACR. I have a couple of things from him. I actually used to have a Templar lower, but I ended up selling it, and it actually, funny enough, goes into my other Remington Defense lower, but we'll talk about that here in a moment. You can see there's some significant wear. That's because I've had this for so long and I use it all the freaking time. And yeah, I initially had like the Gen 1 brass deflector that was like a little square, but I just did this to kind of complete the Remington Defense look, because the Remington Defense ACRs had the 2nd gen slimmer brass deflector. And one notable difference with the Remington Defense ACRs compared to the Bushmaster ones is the bolt release. There's like a little bit more of a there's like a little bit more real estate to grab onto, just to kind of make it easier to drop the sucker. And honestly, it doesn't really feel any different to me. between this one and the original Bushmaster one. But I can see what they were trying to go for here. But yeah, it doesn't really feel different. The trigger is pretty much a standard military trigger. It actually has a pretty good break. It's about a 5. It's about a little bit between 5 and 6 pounds of pressure before it goes click. Really good trigger. Now the next thing I actually want to show you guys that I said I would is my other Remington defense lower. Now there's a funny story concerning this one. So right here I have the Remington Defense ACR cheek piece. This is the non-folding stock assembly that Remington was showing off when they first started showing off their updated ACRs at the 2013 SHOT Show. However, unlike those ones, this one has an FDE color scheme and not a coyote brown, because this is how they actually came out. They would later be Cerakoted coyote brown to mix in well with the lower and the upper and everything. But as you can see, it's also missing the sling attachment. It doesn't use the ones that like the folding ACR stocks use. It actually use like its own proprietary thing. I've only seen, like on the civilian market, one of these cheek pieces that actually had the sling attachment. It's not really a huge deal for me. I honestly hate how like it would kind of like dig into my chest, you know, when I wasn't shooting and it was just up against my body. Like even like with the body armor, it was and whatnot, it would tend to get snagged. So that's not really a huge deal. These are like super freaking tight in these lowers. I don't know why. So that's. I kind of just like leave this one, I wouldn't say permanently attached because it's not permanently attached, but I just keep it in here just because the lower pin is so tight, you need a mallet with like a screwdriver or a punch to actually get it out. It's so fucking tight. I did think about like maybe sanding it down a little bit, just make it loose, but I just figured, nah, I'm not going to do that. This is fine. I don't really have any real issue with this. Now, you can see I have some tape here. The reason being is because the actual ACR stock piece, they're very loose on these. At least mine. I don't know if they are on all of them, but on mine, at the very least, it was very, 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 very loose. So I put some tape here on the bottom so that when I slide this on, it would be tighter. And it actually did work. It wouldn't wobble as much, if at all. And that's what I was looking for. It was a little, like you really had to like put some real strength into like adjusting it. But honestly, I prefer that over having a really wobbly stock. So that's really the only gripe I have about these. But yeah, just a little bit of tape and it was nice and tight, good to go. So this A2 grip is the one that came with my original lower, as you can see by the paint. But it is wearing because a lot of usage. And see, like, I know a lot of people hate the A2 grips just because of, like, the angle they're at. You know, just, it is a little weird to be sure, and I know a lot of people don't like that little finger rest there either. Honestly, it doesn't really matter to me. I mainly just kept this just for, like, the look, because it did look cool on an ACR. But that's pretty much all there is to tell about the pistol grip. Now, so here's one of the things from Templar Precision that I still own, is the bolt catch. It is based off of the Remington one. As you can see, it's pretty similar. But instead of being made of metal, it is made of polymer. And this one is actually really, really, really nice. This is from Templar Precision. Dana over there, he's a great guy. I consider him a really good friend. He's helped me out a lot when it comes to ACR support and parts and stuff like that. So yeah, have the standard Remington Defense ACR trigger guard. I don't know why, I just love that trigger guard. It looks so freaking cool. Now the trigger, we actually have a Geisley trigger in here. You can see, yeah, you can see the G right there. So Geisley trigger in there. I personally am not a huge fan of Geisley triggers. I just don't like really soft, light triggers. That's just me. That's just my personal opinion. But I mean, I unfortunately don't have my Templar Precision lower anymore, which had my factory Bushmaster ACR trigger pack from the polymer lower in there. I actually ended up selling it to get this. I personally just wanted to have another Remington Defense lower, and I do kind of regret getting rid of my Templar Precision one just because it was really nice, and Dana gave me a really good price on it, but when it comes to the ACR, if it's Remington Defense, I gotta have it one way or another. I gotta have it. This one is in much better shape in terms of the paint job compared to this one, but that's because I've had this one much longer. I've had this one for about 3 years. I've only had this for about, I don't know, 4 months or so. This one actually started out as a completely blank receiver. There was nothing in it. It wasn't even painted. Excuse me, I got the hiccups, guys. And because by that time the ACR was no longer being made, with Remington being put out of business and stuff like that, the guy that I bought this from, he's the one who assembled it. He had to have a custom safety made for it. It is a 45-degree safety, which I'm not particularly a fan of, but I mean, if it works, it works. And I don't really feel it's necessary to try to commission someone to make a 90-degree safety for this. I mean, I don't like 45-degree safeties, but hey, I mean, it works. It does work. It's not really a huge pain in the ass for me. It's just, I don't know. I just never liked the 45-degree safeties. And then, yeah, like I said, the Geisley trigger, I'm not really a huge fan of. Assuming that Bushmaster isn't lying and they actually are bringing the ACR back, which my personal opinion about that is I think they actually are planning to bring it back. I actually had direct contact with them a few months ago, asking like when the ACR is going to come back, why hasn't it come back, all that stuff, yada 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 yada. And they actually responded to me, and they told me that they still plan to bring it back, and they were working on improving a few things about it, but they also needed to get new molds for the gun so they could start building it. This was about 3 or 4 months ago as well, maybe longer. So I don't really know what's going on there. And on their website, you can actually find the ACR on their website, and it'll say soon to be perfected. However, you still can get the ACR in 450 Bushmaster, at least I think so. But you actually have to call them to order it. You can't order it off their website. So yeah, when Bushmaster, assuming that they actually do bring it back, I do plan on getting another ACR. Because I actually want to take the stock trigger assembly, assuming it's good, and replacing the Geisley trigger. I'm just not a fan of Geisley triggers, guys. That's just me. So yeah, I do intend to swap that out. Okay. So another thing though, the Remington Defense lowers are compatible with AR triggers, but you still need to have an ACR style hammer, which they're pretty similar to an AR-15s, but I think the dimensions are a little bit different. I'm not entirely sure. I had tried to get all the answers I could when it came to AR-15 compatibility, when it came to the Remington Defense lowers, and I really didn't get much. So if anyone knows if a full AR-15 trigger pack would indeed work in this, that it would be great if you would let me know, because then I can just go get a trigger that I do want and just drop that in there. And that also is another thing. I don't know if I mentioned it yet. I don't think I did. But so with the Remington Defense lowers, they have the pins, whereas the Bushmaster polymer lowers were drop-in. Everything was in an assembly box, and you would just drop it in. Nice, easy install. It's like that with the Templar lowers too, which is really cool. I really did like that. So that's my only gripe when it comes to the Remington lowers. I like simplistic, so I really don't understand why the Remington Defense lowers didn't keep that. Maybe to reduce weight, I don't know. Because I know when it came to the V2 or Mark II or whatever the hell you want to call the Remington Defense ACRs, they were looking to decrease the weight. The only thing, with my rifle, that I'm still working on getting is a lightweight trunnion, which Templar Precision does make, but he makes it with the non-QD attachment assembly for the barrel, so you'd also have to get one of those. I think he provides them. I think he makes them. I honestly don't know, but I'm still looking into getting into that because the ACR is very front heavy, at least when you're running like a 14.5 or a 16-inch barrel. This is an SBR. I'm running a 10.5, so it actually isn't that bad. But yeah, the trunnion is pretty heavy with the ACR, so yeah, there's a few things that Remington, I think, did right. They thought it out really well when it came to the ACR. There's some things that they probably should have just left be, like the drop-in trigger. They probably should have just kept that. And they probably, I really wish that Bushmaster and Remington themselves had kept their, I wish they had kept Magpul's structure. And when I say that, I mean when the Masada, the prototype ACR, was being developed, Magpul had promoted it as being completely compatible with AR-15 barrels, triggers, bolts, and stuff like that. But then when they sold it off to Bushmaster, and then when Remington was contracted to make the military version, that was done away with. So if they are indeed trying to improve the ACR right now, I hope that's something that they bring back. It's just like, you know what? Let's make it simple. Let's have it be compatible with AR-15 triggers. Let's definitely lighten the trunnion for sure. And yeah, let's like actually do what had yet to be done. Because as great as this rifle is, and as much as I love it, there were some things that they still should have. They still should have took some time to change and make better. Because when Bushmaster and Remington got the licensing from Magpul, they just started dropping them. And like when the ACR first came out, there were problems. There were problems that they later fixed. But then when Remington and the Freedom Group took over, we had completely new problems. Mainly just quality control, especially with the ACR pistols. Honestly, like if you guys don't own an ACR and you're looking to get one, I highly recommend trying to get one of the Wyndham-made guns. The reason being, the Freedom Group ACRs, so the ones that were coming out of the Huntsville plant, those were notorious for quality control issues. There's a guy here on YouTube, the Military Arms channel. He actually has a video of him testing one of the ACR pistols. It was one of the newer ACRs to come out before Remington disappeared, and they just had loads of problems with it. Mainly with like the barrel not staying tight, the screws on the body backing out, all that good stuff. So I definitely recommend you check out that video. And did I miss anything? Oh wait, no, I did talk about the safety, didn't I? 45 degree, not a huge fan of that, blah, blah, blah. Guys with trigger, blah, blah, blah. 10-part precision, blah, blah, blah. So yeah, I think that's really all there is to cover. I don't know if I mentioned the folding charging handle. This is not a Remington Defense folder. This is actually one, like the very first design that Dana over at 10-part Precision made for the ACR. He has newer folding chargers. I have just kept this one because it's done. I mean, there's no reason to get rid of it. So, but yeah. So that's basically it, guys. I really do encourage you, if you own an ACR, to check out 10-part Precision and Dana, because he like has it all. Like I said, he is the leading aftermarket supporter for the ACR. He also does make a RemDef style handguard like this, but it's M-lock. It doesn't have like the screws, but it's the closest thing you can probably get without spending the kind of money that you would spend for it otherwise. This handguard I spent $1,500 for. The other two I spent about $1,200 each. This lower was about $1,800. The other one was $1,800. So, and just like the rail pieces, the 10-part Precision folder, all this good stuff. This gun is expensive, dude. Like, this gun is worth a lot of money. And it is my favorite. It is my baby. It will always be my baby. Yeah. So that's it, guys. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video of me breaking down my ACR and showing it up close and personal for you guys. If you would like to see more of these videos, let me know. I actually have a really interesting project that I'm working on with my AK, my first AK that I bought. I'm not an AK guy, but I decided to get one anyway. And I have a really nice project in the works for it that is almost done. There's still a few things I need to get and slap on there. And then, yeah, if you guys want to see more of my collection, it's not as big as it used to be. I actually got rid of a lot of stuff in the past 2 years. I just kept the stuff that I care about the most. But I do plan on building my collection back up soon, you know, through as time goes on. So yeah, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to leave a comment down below. Make sure to like, subscribe, all that good stuff. It helps with the YouTube algorithms. And yeah, guys, thank you so much for watching and supporting my channel.